And welcome to Front Row, the podcast. We're very excited to have you here. But before we get going, please remember to like, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review if you got value from this week's episode. We can't wait to share with you all the industry peers, all the industry experts, all around professional speaking. And we are super excited to welcome you to this week's episodes. Get your notepad ready, get your action steps lined up, and let's tune in to this week's episode. Hello and welcome back to the A&S Front Row podcast recording, and this is part of the Judges series, and I've got the one and only Mary Tillson. But before we go ahead, remember, as I'm recording this, the applications are open and they close in just a few days. So they close on the 30th of April 2026 at midnight UK time, and they will not reopen. So if you're thinking about it, if you've started it, if you've been sitting on it, it's the time to act now. Go to thespeakawards.com, get your application in. We've got everything. If you're not sure, there's a resource pages. Click on the resource pages. We have templates, we have examples, we have everything you could possibly think or need to get your application. Go to speakawards.com and get your application in today. So I'm super excited about today's podcast. This has been a long time coming. We have interviewed some of the other judges, Mary. So we've interviewed Ricky, Dom, Sarah, Dee. So, you know, Dee's been with us from the word go, and you're kind of second in command. So she's done 5 years, you've done 4. And so I'm super excited about that. And I know I've interviewed other judges that right now. Frederick, who's fresh, first year. Yeah. So we've done a real variety. Andrea, we've interviewed him. So a real variety of people. Actually, we interviewed him on the Winners series. So first of all,
last but not least.
No, I think you might be the last, but not least. I think you might be the last.
Save the best for last.
Certainly in the window we have, I think you might be the last. Well, first of all, welcome to the A&S Front Row podcast. How are you doing today? It's sunny in the UK.
It's very sunny. It's lovely.
Yeah. I was rooting for you on Saturday at Wembley. You know, after you beat us, I thought I'd love you to win it. But there we go. It wasn't to be.
It was a great day out, and it's never fun at Wembley because unless you've got a three-goal cushion, you can never ever relax until the whistle goes. Whichever way it goes, it's never relaxing. But it was a proud day because I think we did the boys proud, or the boys did us proud. So it was a great day, and thank you for rooting for us. Which means, who do you support?
Arsenal.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm so sorry.
No, don't be.
That was the best day ever. But anyway, for those of you not into football, we probably better move on.
Yeah, for those of you not into football, basically, Mary supports. Southampton have done very well in a bit of giant killing in the FA Cup here in the UK. They took my team out, Arsenal. We were hoping they'd take City out, Manchester City. They didn't, but never mind. It was worthwhile. We made it to Wembley. But we're here to talk about the Speaker Awards, and we're here to talk about speaking in general as we go for the wider net. And just remind everybody, remember, applications are open. Go to speakawards.com. So Mary's been with us for 4 years. She comes back year after year with enthusiasm, feedback, and suggestions, which is what we love. And I thought, I'm going to sit down with you and let's just do this, right? And now we've launched the podcast, we have the platform, and I know a lot of people do listen to the podcast, especially when they want to get inspiration or ideas or understanding. And so, you know, last week we interviewed Dee, who was with us for 5 years. You're kind of next in line, as in this is your 4th year. So let me ask you this, first of all, what was it that got you to get involved and stay involved as a judge?
Good question. I don't know that I can remember exactly what got me involved. I guess it was you. It was it's a community that I work with all day long. I work with you, and obviously with Maria Franzoni, we are business buddies. Yep. And it just struck me as being a phenomenally brilliant idea and a movement, I suppose, as it was. And a great opportunity to be amongst I hate the word tribe, but you know what I mean? I really don't like that word, but that kind of the tribe. Your people. My people, my clients, not my clients, meet new people, and also, I guess, phenomenal chance for me to learn even more about the industry. I mean, we're always learning. I mean, I've been around it for a fair while now. Yeah. But I'm always learning, and you can't beat learning from the experts, really. So that was kind of what got me started. Those 4 years ago. And then what's kept me in there? Well, it's just phenomenal, Elliot, if I'm honest. You just meet so many amazing people. The energy level is fantastic. You learn a lot. The networking is fantastic because probably like most people, I sit at home alone, doing my technology that I never get working very well. And it's just great to have other people that you can bounce ideas off and meet the people that normally are sort of 2 inches square
Yeah.
on your screen. And then you have that lovely moment of meeting people in person. So that was kind of why. I think it's also I don't think there's anything else out there that speakers can go for. So it's a fantastic opportunity for them to get themselves in the sort of the spotlight, as it were. And I guess because I coach speakers, I'm always looking to help. Come on, let's do this. You can do this. I know I can't judge people I coach, but I just love that they can go for something. That there is something that they can go for. And that's probably why I'm still there. And it's just good fun, crikey.
I think, I think you're right. I think even if you can't judge the people you work with, in a way you're still uplifting the others that you haven't worked with. I'm sure outside of that scope, you have access to those people once the event's over, and I'm sure they reach out to you as well. I know there's those determined who reach out to every judge to say hello, and I'm sure you get those requests. No one says hello to me, by the way, Mary, and everyone ignores me, but that's okay because I'm happy to be in the background. Now reach out to me and goes, hey, just reaching out because you're the guy behind it, the visionary. But that's exactly it. When you're kind of a facilitator of a tribe, a community, a movement, actually, you shouldn't be in the forefront. I know, like, often it's my name on the emails or it's my name or my face on this, but actually, I'm more than happy to sit back. Yeah. And it's funny because we've got this ongoing joke now because, I'm speaking at the summit. I'm launching my book at the summit. And every opportunity, I'm like, I don't mind giving up my stage time. And Lavelda's going, no, you're not doing it this time. I know what you're trying to do. And it's not that I'm shy to get on stage, but I'm going, look, it's not about me. It's about the event. And they're like, no, you are not moving away from this. Because I'm
looking forward to seeing it. And you are quite right, though, because, for every good coach, I mean, if you think about all the most famous sports stars out there, you know who their coaches are? Probably not.
No.
Probably not. And I think one of the things for me as well is that I just get so proud when people I have coached have gone and won awards. I mean, I haven't voted for them because I can't.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
But I do sit back and think, oh, golly, I'm so proud. I mean, honestly, I feel so proud that I've possibly been part of their journey to get to that point. And I mean, like Ben Hanlon, as an example, I just felt like Mother Hen there. I was just going, oh, so great. I'm so happy for him. I'm just so happy for everybody that does well. And it's never been about me. And it's never about me. You probably find I'm not great on socials. I'm probably the least on socials that I think possibly.
Yeah.
Because I think, for me, it's never been about me, never will be about me. So I'm just very happy that I can help people on their journey.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And actually, I interviewed Ben Hanlon because we did a winners series. Okay. So I interviewed all the winners. And what was fascinating about Ben Hanlon is how much he dissected the process of winning. He's like, okay, what do I need to do so he spoke to people, right, reverse engineering, took every step en route to winning, and therefore he won, and then was Speaker of the Year, Hall of Famer, right? So it's very interesting. So if people haven't listened to that winner podcast about Ben's approach, I think he's actually really refreshing, and he blew me away. I was like, this guy is so clever, so driven, and so humble, like, because he's willing to learn. He's never gone, I know this stuff. And that was the interesting part. So yeah, I can understand why that you felt that way about Ben, because just having got to know him a little bit through the podcast, I was like, okay, I felt for the guy. It's like, wow, this guy really deserves it. So I can understand that. So having been in this space now for coming onto your 4th year, right? You've seen, I don't know how many videos you've watched. I was looking at some of the entries. We've had well over, because we're doing a 5-year sort of winner, highly commended, because we're adding that to the website. And I think that and alone has over 100 videos, just the winners and highly commended. So you have to go through the others where don't make it. So you probably watched, I don't know, best part 300-400 videos in this process, potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. In your eye, what are the ones that stood out? What does good look like? Let's not even go for good. What does outstanding look like when you've seen an entry like, yes, that's it. That's the schnizzle, just there.
Oh, golly, can I find one word for this? Probably not. I'm thinking back maybe to last year's winner,
Yeah.
because the Freshers, just it was like a class act. I know it's hard to quantify what I mean by class act, but everything about the look, the language, the content was sharp, it was focused, it had powerful messaging in there. You come away thinking, I want to listen to this speaker all day.
Oh, wow.
I want to listen to the speaker all day because I feel like my world is going to be a better place for having listened and tapped into the speaker.
Wow.
And there aren't many, if you like, that really do achieve that. But the ones that certainly I've put forward over the years to get into that sort of number one spot have done, and last year's particularly was exceptional. And there's just a sharpness, a focus, a conviction, a polish, a professionalism on it. And that's, we only get sort of 5 minutes worth of video.
Yeah.
And all that is coming through in only 5 minutes. So, golly, if you can actually hire that person for a whole speech, wow, just think what transformation is going to happen in that audience and how many people are going to be transformed.
Frozen here.
You frozen. Somebody's frozen.
We both froze. So go on. then you just love live recordings.
Yeah.
So it's okay. Everyone listening, we just froze, but we're going to just retract and go back. So you said if you can get that into 5 minutes, carry on from there. That's why.
Yeah. So I said if you can pack all that into 5 minutes, which is what we get to see pretty much when we're judging. Can you imagine the reality for a whole 45-minute keynote, and you've got 300 or 400 people in the room, the transformation to people's lives, that expertise.
And we're back. There we go. Don't you just love
Something's going on with the check, and I don't think it's me for once.
No, I think it might be me. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
So for those of you listening and everything, we just had a technical hitch. There you go. And we don't edit these out. So there you go. 5 minutes. Take 3. Go.
Yeah. So, I mean, in 5 minutes, we only get 5 minutes to listen to, but the winner last year for me was, sharp, focused, incisive, intellectual, professional, polished. There was just a class act there. And I think that, when I'm coaching my speakers, I'm always reminding them, this is a performance. You are performing, and it's not, I don't mean performing to the monkey, but this is a great opportunity. You are in the spotlight. You've got to get that message through. Wow, did he get his message through loud and clear? And I said, we have 5 minutes. All I had was 5 minutes. And I just I wish I had more. I wish I had more talk. If it was a longer video, I could have listened to him for hours. And I think that probably is what makes the winner stand out, I suppose. And believe you me, there are quite a lot that are there, but just sometimes, occasionally, somebody has that little bit extra. Do I know what that little bit extra is? Dan handling, in a way, magic. You could argue there's a bit of magic. But it's that sharpness, focus, messaging, delivery, diction, positioning, all the basics, and just something really thought-provoking that does make you think really differently about something, feel differently, and then kind of want to do something which kind of we know is what we're aiming for. So that's, I think, what sets them apart.
Okay, that's brilliant. Who was it? It's okay to disclose. It's not like it's a hidden.
Oh, okay. Is it Jim Steele?
Jim Steele, yes.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't sure if I could share names or not.
No, you can. I think we used his one of his submissions as an example on the website.
Jim, if you're listening.
Yeah, Jim Steele. No, yes. I could see that.
Yeah.
Because I don't watch submissions till after the event, right? I hate to stay completely impartial. Not that we can ever influence, but generally, so I'm so removed from the process. So I get to the night and I have no idea, right? And it's quite a funny story because when I first met Bonita Norris, who won Storyteller and Showreel, it's quite funny because when I met her, I knew who she was. And I went, hi, Bonita. And she went, hi, Elliot. And she's very surprised. And then her husband goes, you've won. Otherwise, he wouldn't know your name. And this came out in the podcast. I was like, actually, the reason I knew who you were is because you emailed in to change your picture. That's the only reason I know who you were. So your husband was wrong, but he was right because she did win. Yeah. But I didn't know that she'd won because for me, that who is who, that unveiling on the night just like you, I want it to be a surprise, even though like we sit there and we look at the winner and the short listings and things like that. For us, it's just as much surprise. And it's not like I carry it in my head. Like, I don't sit there going, oh, yeah, I know who won this. I know who won this. I don't, because I don't get involved in the evening. That's Lavelle and Simone, right? I sit there and I get to sit back, except for my minor speeches. Okay, so Jim Steele's, by the way, people, anyone listening, is on the website. Jim Steele, not Steele's. Steele, he is on the website under resource pages as an example of a submission. So you can see that whatever Mary's talking about. And you can see for yourself. And of course, Ben Hanlon, there is a podcast with him as well if you want to listen to that. And I'm sure if you went on his website, you can see what Mary's talking about. So if you were to quantify, like, because you're saying it's that bit, right? I think that's an amazing way I think in a way we should feed that back to Jim and almost use that as a testimonial. He leaves you wanting more, right? I think that's kind of a very unique measure of feedback. Not a lot of speakers you can say that about. I mean, there's some fantastic world-class speakers out there, but I think you're the first person, when I asked what good looks like, the speaker left me wanting more. Right? So if you were to haphazard a guess what that extra bit was or is, what would you put it if you can kind of articulate that? Because I think that's very handy beyond the awards, right? To have that kind of, what is that sort of bit between the teeth?
I think this is something I coach all the time as well.
Yeah.
Is I think what he has and the people that excel at, it's all about the audience.
Right.
It's 100% focus on the audience. So a lot of speakers deliver what they want to say, okay, and they do a brilliant job and it's fantastic. But I think that the little frisson of extra, okay, is, it's so obvious that he's totally got the audience in his mind, that he's thinking about them. He's got a sense of who he's talking to, and he's adapting his content so it's absolutely landing for the people in the room. It's all only ever about the audience. I know that's kind of a line that I use a lot, which probably drives people mad, but it has to be only ever about your audience. And I think certainly in his submission, as best as I remember it, because I can still remember it, and I've got the world's worst memory. I'm up there, pretty rubbish really. It's an age thing, and and so on and so forth. But I think that's probably what he is. I mean, he's a master of his content. He's an expert in his content. He's up to date. He's sharp. He's current. He's relevant, which is a terminology that we use now. So he's keeping it on point and focused. But he was talking just to me. It felt like it was really aimed at me. It was very much about the audience, and I think that's such a critical thing. I think that's the game changer. When I think back over the years, I mean, I have heard, because of my work, thousands of speeches. But which ones do I remember? And I haven't got a great memory. I get that, I accept that. But there are certainly some that still left me with mantras, with ideas, with thoughts, things that I can go and do and use and apply in my life that are a game changer for me. And I think that's the secret.
So would you say then a great speaker is like a great pudding? You just want more?
Oh gosh, yes. I love my pudding, so yes, go for it. Or toad in the hole wanting more, but most definitely, yeah, for sure, yeah. But also, I think even if not wanting more, because sometimes you can be satiated, can't you? You can have a pudding and think I'm really full up.
Yeah, that's true.
I think back to some. I mean, I'm going to put Steve Judge out there. If you're listening, Steve, I mean, he changed my life.
Okay.
Steve Judge changed my life. By what I heard, and he actually had me in tears. I actually cried. Okay, that's because he touched a chord within me personally, but he changed my life. And I think that when a great speaker, how do you know what's going on in everybody's lives? I mean, when you scope really well up front, you can get a pretty good sense of it when you know your audience, because you probably know I'm really particular about that.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can't know what's going on in individual lives. But wow, Tim Gard. Have you seen Tim Gard? I have never laughed so much in my life.
Okay.
I have never laughed so much in my life. Now, it's speakers that can do that. Just okay. His was not perhaps an intellectual piece, but boy, I've remembered. I've never forgotten how he made me feel. And I think that's really important from the audience.
Well, that's key, isn't it? How a speaker made you feel, because you won't remember what they said. And that's a well-known quote, isn't it? Like, people remember how you made them feel far more than what you said, right?
And then what you feel will determine how you go on and behave. So absolutely. And I think for me, when I For example, when I had Chingad, it was not long after COVID. We were just coming back from COVID, and life had been pretty grim.
Yeah.
And it was just such a release to laugh, tears of laughter coming down my face. For that, I will always thank him. He won't have any idea that he did that to me. But for me, it was just a release after all that grimness that was COVID.
Yeah, and I think it is a really unique skill to speak to the audience and meet them where they're at, right? Regardless of your content. Obviously, if it's highly intellectual, then that's one type of speaker. If it's thought leadership, it's another. But to emotively meet an audience, that's quite a skill. And I see that as I learn myself and as I keep progressing as a speaker, especially with my new keynote, which is my most emotive one. Like up until before then, it's leadership communication. How do we speak? And, what there. And now I've moved into something quite personal. And I'm seeing for the first time what it's like to move an audience to tears, to get people come up to me or message me later going, I'm using Watch Me now as part of my mantra. And I think that's quite unique. I'm not saying I'm there, by the way. I'm just saying it's quite a unique skill to meet the audience emotionally. And that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, because, they're all human. They're just human. And whilst they might be sitting there because, I don't know, whichever big corporate has paid for them to be sitting there, you're reaching into them as human beings. I mean, they'll apply it back to the workplace. It's like all the training I ever do, all the workshops I run, leadership workshops. I know that the client has paid for me to be there, but actually I'm reaching into them as individual people first. And that's where the movement starts. And they can take it back to the workplace. And I think nowadays, everybody I'm talking to, I don't mean speakers, just people in life, everybody's tired. Everybody's tired, Elliot. Everybody's weary. Everybody's mentally exhausted.
Skeptical.
Everybody's physically exhausted. I guess we all know why. It's a combination of things. So I think if any speaker can provide some sort of mantra. I mean, I think you probably know I'm full of my mantras or Mary-isms. I post them quite regularly. Just little, one-liner, like "Watch me" is yours, okay? I mean, I've got loads, okay? But if there's one that can just land, if you can just land one with somebody, because we know we're going to forget 56% of what you say within an hour. That's kind of proven research, okay? But if you can just lead the audience with something that they will never, ever forget, then they will always remember you as a speaker.
Because it's associated to you.
And then they can talk about you, and then they can refer you, referable speaker, just to stealing the lines of other luminaries in the business. And that's what you're looking to achieve, really.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that's why it's important. And I think it's also, important to quantify when you say it's a performance, because I think and there's various approaches to this and there's various philosophies to this, right? When I talk and I work with speakers, professional speakers like yourself, I know now we kind of complement each other. Now we actually know what each other does, right? I talk about being versus acting. So being present to the emotion, being present to the feeling, and by you being present, you beam that out so the audience connect with it. You can at times tilt into that almost pantomime performance where it's inauthentic and the audience feel it. What's your thoughts on kind of that aspect of the performing?
I think for me, I'm very aware of what you do, and your skills are brilliant, and I think we do complement each other, actually. And I think I need to send more speakers to you, actually, now that I have a better sense of what's going on there. No, I think for me, where I guess I bang on a bit about the performance is the whole start of it.
Okay.
The whole start. It's more the beginning, because a lot of speakers, and I have seen, they literally do walk onto the stage and they're yakking as they walk on. They're talking about how wonderful the catering is, or it's great to be back in town. I was at university here, and there's all this stuff going on. And I just say, no, this is a performance. So I always use as an analogy, like being a conductor at the Royal Albert Hall.
Right.
And literally the audience are turning up and there's lots of noise going on. The choristers are all arriving and shuttling into their seats with their song sheets. The orchestra are turning up and warming up their trombones and their whatever they've got. And there's all this kind of cacophony sound going on. And that's the same at a conference. There's a lot of noise going on. People are not there to you. They're not mentally there for you. Unless you're Barack Obama or somebody. Most people have been told to be there. And so when you visualize something like, I think, the Albert Hall, because I'm a real fan of the Albert Hall, it's my favorite sort of venue.
Oh.
And then the conductor will appear from the side, and there's still lots of noise going on, orchestra and choir and everything. But he just quietly comes to the rostrum and he holds the silence. And then I'm just such a big hold the silence. and he'll smile at the audience, and then turn around, face his orchestra, hold the silence, and then boom, 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 and we're off. So that's what I mean by performance, because I see too often speakers, particularly on online ones, they kind of somehow end up speaking and into the speech, but there's no clear delineation between the sort of setup of the admin and the just fiddling about and then the start. So that's what I mean, but it's incredibly important that they're authentic.
Right.
One of my favorite quotes ever. I have loads of them, but this one was just shared with me by a CEO of a company I was doing some leadership work with, and he said this was his favorite quote, and I'm going to hand it over. And Donald Trump might want to listen to this one. Be yourself, more of, with skill.
Interesting, deep.
It is, but it's about not being anything that you're not, but knowing when you have to just slightly tweak and amend your natural style, depending on who's in the room, what's in the room, or what you're trying to achieve. So it's almost a bit like situational. I say that loosely, leadership, behavior, just adapting the style. But I think it's a great quote. So yeah,
that's really interesting. And when you said, I could really see the conductor, and I think that's an element of what is framed as executive presence, right? The ability to hold, like Obama had it, right? Just to walk in without having to say anything.
The silence.
People know that you're there.
And the posture and all the basics.
The posture, everything, the poise, the posture, the strength.
And don't say a word until you're in position. Don't talk and walk and talk, until you're in position, and you just held the silence. And then I was going dun, 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 and then you're off with your amazing opening story grab or whatever it is you're going to hit the audience with to get them going.
Perfect. I love that. What does bad look like? What's some of the no names mentioned? Right? That's where we won't say names.
No,
what's something you're like, what are you doing? I mean, I can see how much you care about the profession. So for you, it must almost really frustrate you to see someone that potentially could be amazing. So what is bad or what is yuck?
It's not hard to get it right. I'll tell you what. We're talking about speakers generally or on speaker award submissions.
Let's go for speaker award submissions for now. Yeah.
I honestly had to give some zeros across the board because I don't even remember the names if I'm honest, but they are submitting an award for, say, like Live Speaker of the Year.
Yeah.
And I'm being sent a video of them reading a book.
I've heard about this submission. It's become quite famous.
Talking to a room full of people just reading a book. Excuse me, why have you put that in? I mean, that's not this. There have been a few of those, and people have not given one thought. I mean, so much of one of my isms, okay, I think is, which gets everybody feeling a bit ill when I say it, is what's it like being on the receiving end of me?
Okay.
You to think about, what is it like to be on the receiving end of you? You at home, you on stage, you on camera, wherever. And again, I can remember, like last year, somebody put a submission, and I thought, he's sitting in a kind of like in and out of a cupboard, and it was like the angle of the camera, and there was kind of like a bit of cupboard, a bit of staircase, and all sorts of. If you just sat and look, how does that look professional? This is a professional awards. And you're kind of half in and out of a cupboard. I thought he was dangling somewhere from somewhere. Everything about
Oh, no, we talked about this in great depth, yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. And it's like you're not... I have another mantra.
Bring them. I'm loving your mantras.
I have another one. And in fact, my little sort of trading name is set up for success. And whatever you do, set yourself up for success. Set your audience up for success. If you're putting yourself in for an award, set yourself up for success. Think about, what is it like to be on the receiving end of me and my award, my film, my video, whatever. Because what you think, so for example, I think about me counts for nothing. And it's what you're thinking about me that is the real measure. And I think enough speakers are not giving that some thought when it comes to the speaker submissions. They're not giving a thought. And they're just cutting and pasting a bit of a video recording and lobbing it in. They're not thinking about, actually, they're not big. Okay, here we go. Stephen Covey, not mine, but I use it all the time. And Maria, if you're listening, she gets fed up with this one. But always begin with the end in mind.
Right.
So when you're putting your submission in, have all those things, just have those as mantras in your life and let that guide your submission. So those that have not been great have failed to sort of the basics.
Something, again, you keep reminding me about Ben Hanlon's interview, and he was saying success leaves clues, right? People don't succeed by accident. Although some people, very few, do something and just explode, but even that's had thought behind it, right? So I think you're saying the same. It's like, think with the end in mind. And I highly recommend everyone listens to the podcast. In fact, we'll probably tag it into this, because he talks about how he approached everything you're talking about to set himself up for the best chance of winning, right? And so whether he won or not, I mean, every speaker says this, like, I didn't know I was going to win, but I went for it. But he talks about success leaving clue. And you're saying the same. Start with the end in mind, because there's people that have done it and done it consistently, right? Because they're thinking about how am I coming across? How is this going to be received? What's the judge likely to think? You can't control that, but you can kind of have
set
a thought
for success.
Yeah, exactly. So that's good. So no reading of books. I mean, Sarah and I spoke about this at great length, and even Dee and I spoke about it in terms of, look, there's nothing wrong with filming in your house, right? Because it's about your speaking. But, put some thought into that. Like you said, not things hanging in the background like dirty underwear or, nothing is going to take away. Like the judges just want to see your delivery. They want to be focused in on you, but they're going, oh, what's those boxes in the background? Or is that... Don't do that. Don't distract the eye, right? And it's really what you're saying. So if you are going to film at home, make sure it's relevant to the category and the content's relevant to the category, but just make it easy for the judges to watch you and not go, oh, is that a kid running in the background? Or is that, I mean, things happen, right? But if you integrate it, that's one thing, right? If a kid happens to run across and skillfully, like, it's like a child play or that's one thing, right? Utilization. But it's another thing when it's completely distracting. So what are you looking forward for the most this year? Year 5, we're still here. We haven't gone anywhere.
I'm growing. I think I'm looking forward to seeing how it has grown, because I know that you guys are doing so much work behind the scenes, and it is growing, isn't it? It's growing in stature, it's growing in profile, it's growing in presence. I think seeing more speakers, new people, I'm seeing new names out there. A lot of new judges. Will be fun to meet some new judges. I don't know if you've got anything up the sleeve because it's 5 years on. I don't know. But maybe, I don't know.
We're working on it.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. I think, I'm doing a different category this year, which is interesting. I've always done live speakers, so I've got a new category this year, which is interesting for me. I'm really interested in that one, actually. So that I will enjoy. And I'm working with 2 new judges. I've had the same judges the last couple of years, I think. So it'll be quite interesting to work with new experts and have those discussions, because we do, as you know, have very informed discussions when we're actually going through all the videos. So that I'm looking forward to. And it's just, I don't know, it's exciting. It's kind of like when you look at your whole year's calendar, what's going on in the world, apart from maybe a holiday, which is always going to be a bit of a priority for me. It's up there with the sort of like the gold invitation. It's great.
Yeah. Dee was saying in her calendar every year, she marks out April to July and she puts awards season. Our award season pretty much starts the next day.
Yes.
Right. There is going to be some interesting news to share in terms of growth and expansion. But nearer the time when things are a bit more confirmed, I will do that. So year 5, there will be some announcements and we'll keep you in the loop. We're very excited. Considering when I started, there was a lot of skepticism. There was lots going on, and we welcome skepticism. There was like, will this survive? What will this become? And I remember Maria saying, this has been taken seriously when the bureaus get involved. She said aim for them to get involved, but once they're involved. And this year we're actually seeing a lot of bureaus enter some of their speakers, including a celebrity whose name I won't mention. And whoever has them will be like, oh, or maybe they won't. I'll be intrigued to see. But they are a big, big name. And so it's nice to see that even some of the like top 1%ers are now entering the awards. So it's for everyone. It's whether you're starting out and you've been around, last 3 years and you're just getting going, or you've been around like Jim Steele for 30 years, right? He's been in this space, or, you're a celebrity that now speaks. So that's really nice to see. And thank you for being a part of that as well.
Yeah, I feel very honoured.
Oh, well, we're honoured too. And we really hope that this keeps growing and keeps that family feeling, that connective, that because we want to elevate the industry. We want to help, without sounding like AI, but we want to elevate the industry. We want to help shine a light on all the hard work that speakers do, and we want to keep doing that. And of course, during the day, the summer is when we pull back the curtains and really show what goes on in the speaking industry. And you're speaking the VIP day today, not today, the day before. So it's very exciting. We've got all female cast, right? We've got you, Diana Stoney, and Claire Young, and of course Maria's facilitating it. So more women to the front. That's part of our ethos as well. So in that respect, so we're very excited. Definitely. Look, I think it's still a frustration of mine, and must be a frustration of yours, that when you look at lineups, that they're still very male dominated. And although the diversity is getting better, I think that there needs to be more. And, and I always put it back to this. Who do I want my daughter, who's currently 9, grow up watching? I don't want her to grow up watching only white men, right? I want her to watch powerful women. When I get involved in the TEDx Northern Quarter up in Manchester, there's a few women there. I was like, listen, I want my daughter to grow up watching you, right? And there's a few of them. I said it's Anna Hemmings, legendary MB Anna Hemmings. I've said it about Emma Henderson, and these are the kind of women I want her to watch growing up. She loves the lionesses, so Beth Mead and people like that, Chloe Kelly. And I think more women should take center stage, period. So let's do this.
And they are beginning to, aren't they? I think it's only in sport as well. I mean, I'm very sporty, so I love watching the women in sport. And I think the sport, the Rugby World Cup, the Lionesses, the cricket, all of it. I think it's really beginning. Well, the fact that the women keep winning and the men don't.
I know, right? They're definitely putting them in place. Yeah, they do. So true.
I just think sometimes that I almost think if I was Thomas Tuchel or whoever coaching like the England football team, just imagine yourself on the bus going around Leicester Square, or Trafalgar Square, or wherever they go on the open top bus. You've never done that, guys. Look at the girls twice, and just that's what you want to aim for. That's what you want, isn't it? Because why do the girls keep doing it and you're not? Yeah,
no, I agree. And they should take center stage on speaking world as well, right? I think that there's a lot more to be gained to hear how women do things. I think, and it's funny because I was working with a lady recently, and actually I ended up using her in my new book. So I used Maria as one. So basically my editor said, go find 2 authentic female leaders. No, she said 2 authentic leaders, actually. Immediately my mind went to women. And the other thing, one of them was Maria Franzoni, just a little paragraph. Unlike her, I'm not cutting her from my book. She cut me from her book. I'm not bitter. I don't
remember that.
Yeah, no, she did. I'll tell you in a second of that. Okay. But no, so Maria, and the other one was Terry Dohan, who's an incredible force, an incredible woman. She lived in a trailer, made it to MIT, then on the trading floor in New York, and then is now on some of the biggest boards like of brands like Wise, some massive names. And she's just done this with this unrelenting pursuit, of being herself, but not willing to accept the status quo and never going the way that it should be done. And I just mentioned those two. And she said that she loves how much I put women to the front, And I said, I think I did a post about this last week. I think it's because I grew up with a very strong mother, and that's probably why my angle or my lens always goes there. So it's quite interesting. So yeah, we go. Go Power VIP Day with you being one of them. And outside of this world, so thank you for everything you do for the judging, the industry. Tell us more about you, what you do on a day-to-day basis, and let's talk about you for a little bit. Like we've alluded to it.
For me in life.
Yeah, let's talk about for in the speaking world. We're going to veer off to life if you want. Tell us. How, because I know you've got a unique formula, you've got a different way, so tell us more about you when you work with speakers. So outside of the awards, how do speakers work with you? What do you do for them, kind of thing?
Yes, okay. Well, actually, Lavelda, I think, brilliantly summed me up. Because like everybody, we try and sum ourselves up in any one sentence, but we can never ever do it ourselves, can we? And it takes somebody else that says it. And I think Lavelda had a long chat with me last year, and I told her what I did, and I walked through kind of the process. And she said, "Oh, you're a content strategist."
Ah.
And I thought, you know what, Lavelda, I think you've just nailed it, because I think that's what it is. So what do? I mean, I work with speakers, okay? If you think that, I'm buddied up with Maria. Maria and I run Speaking Business Academy, okay?
Yep.
So she's the queen of everything to do with the industry and the business, and what she doesn't know is not worth knowing. I honestly, I sort of hang on her coattails. I really do. I feel very honoured that we're buddied up. I was actually a client of hers years ago, and that's how we got to meet. But I am very much the speaking side of the academy. So my expertise is, I do have a corporate background.
Yep.
I had 15 years at American Express. I still am a consultant, management and leadership development consultant for a couple of consultancies. So I spent some 25 years going around the world, delivering workshops, designing and selling, delivering workshops, leadership training programs for pretty much every sort of top company you've ever heard of. So that keeps me, and I still am in that industry. Not much, but I still have my toe in the corporate world. Okay, so I still do deliver for corporates, which keeps me current with what's going on in the corporate space. So I know what's going on. Okay.
Yeah.
And excuse me, I'm getting a bit cold here. Sorry. So how I work with speakers, I mean, it depends on the speaker very much. What do they need? What do they want? But a bit like Maria has, I have my own process that has been proven to work. And one of the things that I usually start off doing is I interview my speakers at great length. I get right under the skin of them. I want to know them inside out, back to front. I want to know who they are. I want to know the background. I want to know when they were born, where they went to school. I want all that. Okay. And then I like to find out, what's their niche, their angle, their story. What do they talk about, not talk about? Why do they talk about it? I get right under the skin of them. I probably exhaust them, endless questions. But what's great about that is that they end up saying things to me that they didn't even know they'd said, because it's not scripted.
Right.
And I'm a note taker. I'm a scribbler. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm writing like there's no tomorrow, but I get under the skin of them, because what that does, because also I've got years of designing training programs. Okay. I've got all that corporate stuff. I'm listening always. When I listen to them, I'm listening out for what's what I call a nugget. What's the one line, the one sentence, the thing? This could be a model. This could be a talk title. This could be a story. This could be a process that you could use, that you could leave with your audience. So I'm always listening for what I call the nuggets. I call it a nugget session.
Not chicken nuggets, though. Golden nuggets.
Golden nuggets, chicken, whatever, any sort of nugget. But I am listening for nugget. And they get a report from me, and we use that as a basis for kind of moving forward, I suppose. What was the question?
What do you do for speakers? How do you work with speakers? You're doing a very good job.
Yeah, so that's typically how I work. Now, I'm also incredibly practical. I like things that I can get on and use and do and apply. Okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I also work with them, and I'm very lucky over the years of doing what I do, that leadership space, as much as anything else as well. I've got so many tools in my toolkit that I can share and work with around learning, development, but around leadership. I am a verbal behavior intelligent master practitioner, which is quite a niche skill to have as well. And I share a lot of those little nuggets. Let's not use nugget, that's going to confuse. But I just have all these little gems that if I spot something's not quite right with the speaker, I can add these little gems in that will help them be even better. So there's all these little bits so I can salt and pepper, if you like, sprinkle. But I also have just got some phenomenal tools. And I think those that have worked with me, and I've also educated you. I'll go get him. Hang on a sec.
Oh, there we go. Live tool here.
This little fella here. My square poo friend. But this is just a phenomenal tool that I've been very privileged to have worked with for decades, really. I share that's your thinking, planning, and structuring tool. I think a lot of speakers kind of go straight to content very quickly when they're planning their speech.
Yes. No.
Content is always the last thing that you do. Okay. You've got to do your thinking. You've got to really know who your audience are. So I don't want to give away my crown jewels, if you like, to a certain extent, but this is your thinking, planning, and structuring tool. And if those of you who've read Maria's bookability formula, this little fella combined with another one called Critical Questions, which I will be sharing at the summit. On the day that I'm doing the extra bit for
the VIP day.
Scoping. I am so hot on scoping ahead of any event you do. You've got to get under the skin. You've got to find out what the audience need and want. But you've also got to consider the other stakeholders, because you've got the booker has a different need and want, the CEO who's writing the check has a different need and want, the HR team have a different need and want, and then the people in the room will have something completely different. So the critical questions tool that I share, which I will be working with everybody on that at the summit, and this chat, nail, relevant, easy, and memorable, because my job is to help them develop and then deliver a speech that absolutely nails relevant, easy, memorable, which are 3 of the 4 key elements in the bookability formula that the top 1% do every time. So I work with them, I teach them how to use that, and then I work with them because I now know a lot about them and their content, having done the interviews. We then get kind of what I call down and dirty, and then I help them create the content, their strategy for the content. I challenge their thinking, because I always work. I have 2 hats on, my coach's hat, but I'm imagining I'm in your audience. So how is that relevant? Why is it going to? What is your begin with the end in mind? I use that all the time. Why are you doing that? What's the point of that? No, get rid of it. Be realistic. You've only got like 36 minutes for the body of your talk. That's too much. Elliot, I'm sure you know this from your years of doing this. In my experience, about 80% of speeches from the audience perspective are hard work. They're really hard work, and I'm trained to listen. I'm trained to be able to pick things out. And I just think you've lost me completely. A lot of things are not happening in that speech. So my job is to help eradicate that. Okay. And then, so I do that with the speakers, and then also I get them to record the finished version when we've done all the thinking, and then they send me videos of the finished version, just the camera, not on stage, just this is our work in progress. And then I go through it with a fine tooth comb, and I tell them what they need to hear, not just what they want to hear. And again, because I'm listening with I'm in the audience. Okay, I'm imagining I'm in that audience. Because what I think a lot of speakers forget, Elliot, is the audience are not experts in your topic.
Correct.
They've never seen it before. They've never heard it before. And they're only going to get one chance to hear it. This is not a workshop. They can't ask questions. They've got to try and get it just on that first time of hearing it. And it's so very important that when you're creating your content, that the speakers are mindful of that and actually strip out a lot of stuff. That's what easy is all about. It's not dumbing it down. It's just always thinking about the audience.
Yes.
And if you want them to be able to talk about you, be excited by you and inspired by you, but also to be able to go and talk about you with authority back at the workplace, you really need to go and see the speaker, because I learned this, I learned this, I learned this. I've heard some, I'm not going to mention any names here, but I've worked with some phenomenal people who've climbed mountains and done this and done that. But most audience members aren't likely to do that. And so whilst they tell a fantastic story, and yes, I can sit back then saying, wow, this person's amazing. But when it's all over, I'll still have a feeling that was good. But by the time I'm back at my desk, and like 300 emails later, it's all kind of gone. And the great speaker, it just stays like a glow. And also you've got that wisdom that you can take with you, and then you can begin to apply it. So one other thing that I do with speakers, again, this is just because of my years and probably what sets me apart a wee bit, is that because I've designed gazillions of workshops, training courses, developed them, I've trained teams of people around the world to go and deliver training programs, I can help speakers design their model. I can help them find their model, their framework, their process that they don't even know they've got. But you do need to leave something, in my view. You need to leave the audience with something they can take away, even if it's a one-liner, but we find that one line. And I'm now going to shut up.
No, this is fascinating. I love hearing it. No need to shut up. So it's a very deep and comprehensive process. And I think what's quite unique in the way you work is you really get to know the person first versus trying to slot them into a particular model that you always use. And I think that's quite key, right? Because once you get to know the person, you're then able to magnify who they are on stage. And I think that's quite an important skill. And, content strategist is a great way to term it. So that's really interesting because a few years ago, Maria's like, she turned to me, she's like, you're a speaking director. I don't know if I've ever landed with that term. I think it's a time I was trying to look, what do I do? Where do I fit in? Who am I? I went for one of those, as a lot of speakers do, especially we evolve, we grow. For a while, I tried the speaking director term, but it didn't quite land now. And so, yes, it's fascinating hearing how you do things and what you do. And you have worked with some very established and very people right at the beginning equally, right? Who are starting out as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So perfect. So listen, I don't know about you, but in our household, we have a kitchen table that's big and wooden. And at the kitchen table is the hub of everything. No matter my kids do their drawings there, they're creative, they're sticky. My sons love snowflakes, and Emily and I, my wife, we talk about our future, our finances. We're looking to buy right now, like our vision for our future. It's where we do a lot of sort of our future thinking, right? So I'm a bit nosy. I want to know what's on your kitchen table.
I don't have that kind of kitchen table, sadly. I've always wanted to have that kind of kitchen table. I have a very lovely home, but it's a 16th century in part home, and it doesn't actually have that, believe it or not. It's got some, and I'm 6'1", it's got some low ceilings. I think the reason why I can't remember, I'm usually concussed.
Oh no.
I have, and this is not going to be an answer you're going to want, but I'm not sure, actually. I am.
It's the answer. It's the real answer.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I've never been one for planning. I've always been a very impulsive person. I mean, I've literally gone to dinner, and I literally was invited to a dinner party in Los Angeles one weekend. And on the Friday night, I thought, yeah, I'll go. So I literally went on the Friday, went to a dinner party in Los Angeles, and came back on the Sunday morning. I'm very lastminute.com. I'm not a great planner. I'm incredibly aware that probably in my time of life, I probably should have planned a bit more.
Okay.
But I've always grabbed life. I've literally gone for everything. I've never been known to, I have never in the past, but it's changing now. I've been known to say no. So I've always been a seize the moment. I live the day. Life is for living.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm very, I was on my own for many, many years for a number of reasons. But I've never let that stop me from I've traveled the world. I've done so many things. I've ticked an incredible amount of boxes. And I love ticking those boxes because life is for living. But I think I don't want to risk. I don't know. I'm just incredibly content at the moment because I finally found the man of my dreams. I have a beautiful husband. I don't have children, so that doesn't. He does. I don't. And he now has. I have 3 step grandchildren. They are gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous, stunning boys. They're brilliant. I don't really know. I don't know. I love my work.
Yeah.
I love my home. I love my family. I'm one of 7 children, and there's lots of nieces. I'm number 6 or 7. My family are incredibly important to me. The well-being of my family is very important to me. I love traveling. I love life. I love sport. I love my garden. I mean, I'm a lover of an awful lot of things. But I can't sit and say, right, I want to be retired by this day, or I want to buy this house. I want to move. I don't know. I go with the flow, and if it feels great, I grab it.
I love that. That's exactly the answer. It's not about, there's no right answer to this, right? So
the only answer I probably could give as defined is I'll put it out there, but for many years in amongst my very checkered career, I was a private investigator for many years. Okay, bit of an unusual career, but for 11, 12 years I was based in London. I used to wear a bright pink jumpsuit. I'm 6'1", I'm blonde, a bit grey now, and I got away with it for numerous years. But I always remember, and this is probably the answer that we're going to get to here. I had to go to Mallorca on a PI case, and it was for a very, very well-known footballer. I'm not going to mention that name. It was a very, very well-known footballer. And my inquiries took me into an old age pensioners home in Mallorca, bizarre but true. And I always remember coming out of that OAP home in Mallorca, and I just thought, this is quite a few years ago now, I want to be that kind of old person that young people still want to spend time with.
Oh, okay.
Because I've
That's an
got
interesting
so
way.
many stories and so many
Yeah.
adventures, and there's so much about me that they will find interesting. So if there was anything that I would aim for, is to never stop saying yes to things, having a go at things, exploring, having adventures, so that when I'm God knows how old, some of those youngsters in my family still want to come spend time with Auntie Mary.
Love that. Okay, let me bounce off one of the answers that you gave. What's left on your bucket list that you'd like to do?
I want to go to the Antarctic.
Okay.
I want to photograph polar bear up in Churchill. Photography is my
Okay.
hobby.
Yeah.
I have traveled the world with my camera. So I was on my own for many, many years. And what would happen is I would see a photograph of something and I think, I want to see that with my own eyes. So I know lovely Andy Edwards is in Alaska right now.
Mm.
Alaska is my favorite place on the planet. It's the most stunning place. And I was lured there, actually because you get those moments, you sort of pick cards. You get a pack of cards, 50 things to do in your lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, one of the cards that got pulled out was touch blue ice. And when I thought, do you know what? I want to do that so much. And I gate crashed a wedding in the Bahamas, as you do,
As you do.
as I do. Didn't know, I just gate crashed it. I ended up becoming very pally with the mother of the bride. Didn't know any of them before the wedding. And I said that I just have a yearn to go to Alaska, but I don't know how to get to Alaska because in England, we don't tend to go to Alaska. We didn't then, okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And she said, "Oh my God. Oh my gosh. My sister lives in Alaska. Here's her phone number. Give her a call." And next
Wow.
thing I know, I'm just jumping on it. I had to come home first, back to
Yes.
England. And then the next day I went and got a flight to Seattle. Seattle. And then got up to Alaska. And I can't remember why I'm telling you the story. Why am I telling you
What's on your bucket list? Do you want
my
to talk
bucket
about
list?
photographing things
So
that you've seen?
I was drawn by the blue ice. I wanted to see blue ice, and also I just so wanted to catch with my own camera the bear hooking the salmon out of the river. So my bucket list will still be travel, but
Hmm.
Elliot, I have done so much in my life. I have been to so many places. I've done the whitewater rafting and the, tiger moth flying upside down, loop the loop, barrel rolls, hot air ballooning. I mean, you name it, windsurf, water ski, Formula One. I've done it all.
Hmm.
I'm just content at the moment. So I think my
Living
bucket
life.
list is just stays content because life was like that for me for many, many years.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I just yearn for just not boring, but I actually get so much pleasure from just sitting in my garden with the dog at my feet, my lovely
Yeah.
husband, and a cup of coffee and a good book, and watching the flowers coming out and just, yeah. So that's making me a bit boring now, isn't it?
No, not at all. Not at all. I don't think it's making you boring. I think there's
But the
a great
Antarctic would be the
value.
destination,
What's
and
that?
or Churchill, yeah.
Okay. No, I don't think that's boring. I think there's a lot of value in being content and just knowing where you are in life and not having this kind of like hollow hunger for more. I must be doing, I must be
No,
busy. I
no,
must.
never had that.
No,
In
you've done
fact,
that.
the only thing actually that is coming to mind, okay, is, and it's sitting behind me on the shelf here, okay, is I don't have children, and that's just circumstances, okay, it's just the way life turned out.
Hmm.
But I think everybody should leave a legacy. There should be a legacy, and if you have children, there's a legacy, isn't it? I don't have
Hmm.
children, okay, but I do have hundreds of isms that I've learned over the years, one-liners, sentences, and I'm kind of whenever I post them, I'm just keeping them here. And I think at some point I'd love to pass that knowledge and wisdom on to the younger members of my family. So I'm not saying I'm ever going to write a book. I don't know. I love writing. I don't know why I'm not going to write a book.
Might as well.
But I do want, I think, in some way to make sure those isms are handed down through the younger members of my family. So that's
Okay.
probably the thing on my bucket list to make sure that before I'm gone, those have gone somewhere useful.
Love it.
Yeah,
Great stuff. Have you made it to the glaciers in Argentina? Have you done that part of
no,
the world? Oh, you
no.
should.
I've been to the glaciers in Canada in the middle of winter. I've been in minus 46 degrees, I think, and the ice fields in Canada, but I've not been there, no. But it sounds like you have.
I have. That's when you spoke about it. I was like, oh, yeah. So I just thought, yeah, how magical that was. And then, of course, we did, the Devil's Throat, so the big falls in Argentina, one side from Brazil, one side from Argentina. And we did that as part of our honeymoon, actually. That was absolutely magical.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Nice.
If you get the chance, I would suggest you visit that as well.
There's so much out there in the world. There's so much we don't know. I mean, I've done a ton of it. But there's so much. I mean, that's why I quite like that. Was it Race Across the World? Because you get to see places that I'm not bothered about them particularly, but I just love the fact you're getting a sight, an insight into places that you'd never normally know about, probably.
Yeah, love that. Okay, so we've dived a lot into you and what you do and depth and things, and so I ask all the people I interview this: what's the one thing we're not speaking about that we should be speaking about? And you can go anywhere you want with this. Anyway,
us as coaches or the speakers to the audiences.
Or just in life. We've had all kinds of answers. Someone went political with it. It really depends what is the one thing. It could be nothing to do with speaking. But what's the one thing we should be talking about that we're not talking about?
I don't know. I can't give you. It's something to do with human beings. I think, it's especially with what's coming on, and I am getting more and more speakers coming through around this topic, but I don't think you can take the human being out of the human being. We've been around too long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that, I mean, people are speaking about it, I suppose, which it doesn't necessarily answer your question, but I just think humans are special. Humans are important. Humans are feeling creatures. I think that businesses that are not investing in the humans, I think, are making a big mistake, because I think humans will win the game.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's a competition, but you constantly read about 8,000 people laid off at Meta or 10,000 laid off here, and those are lives we're talking about. These are people.
Yeah.
And I know, for me, so maybe this isn't such a rare topic, but I know, for example, like when I was at American Express, I knew who I would go to the moon and back for effortlessly. Mm-hmm. Because they just treated me. They were kind. They were thoughtful. They listened to me. And almost, in fact, now think about it. If there was one skill that I think the world's got to get better at, and everybody, every boss, it's about listening. And I don't mean, and by me listening, I mean demonstrate that you're listening. Because so many people say, oh yeah, I am listening. Clickety-click, email, text, glance away. And it goes back to what we were saying earlier. If I don't feel that you're listening based on your behavior, you're not listening.
Yeah.
And if I don't feel listened to, I'm going to detach from you, because that's how humans function. I know I've left jobs because, and I think I'm a high performer. That's not very immodest, I know, but I believe I'm a high performer. But you know what? No one's listening. And you just get to that point where I can't do this anymore. And it would not have taken much to have kept me.
Okay.
But I think people are too busy to listen, and I think that's the big mistake. I think if you can just sit down and just turn get rid of it. I mean, at home in marriages, when you think about it, I mean, that's why I'm blessed with my hubby, because he's brilliant at listening. We have great conversations. You were saying about your kitchen table. But I think people come home and they're always on their phones and they're clickety-click, and they're still working when they get home because they're so busy at work. And they pay lip service. But, when you demonstrate, and that's one of my key words, okay, when you demonstrate you're listening, then you are sending an incredibly powerful signal to the person that you care.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a human being on the planet that doesn't value the feeling that somebody cares about them. And that, I think, just lends itself to so much richness in life, I think. So are we talking about it more and more? Because I think more and more speakers, I'm seeing it coming through, humans versus AI kind of talk.
Yeah.
But I think it's something wrapped around humans. It's something wrapped around business owners. Just look at your people. They're not numbers, they're humans. And I think more and more with the AI coming in, you need your humans more than ever. And you need your humans engaged and feeling great about being there. And there's nothing lovelier than being amongst people who genuinely feel great.
Yeah, this has come up quite a bit. And as you can imagine, when I've been recording these podcast, AI has continuously featured. The kind of, some totally for it, some not quite. And it's quite an interesting conversation. I'm noticing, and this is where I think live events are going to benefit, because I think people are going to crave connection, or are craving, and they want realness, they want authenticity, they want to feel, smell people in a room. Hopefully they're not bad smelling, but you know what I mean when I say smell, right? But I think also because there's a growing skepticism around what people are reading and seeing online. So even videos like, well, is that really them? Right? Am I really reading them? And I think when you're in a room, so I think the benefit from a lot of this is going to be live events and conference. And I think there's going to be a movement. Also, we're seeing Gen Z post less, and they're more in sort of silos. So like WhatsApp groups or Snapchat, where they can be, left alone, so to speak. Or, plus, of course, when social media came out, it was young, it was youthful, but now all the parents are on it, and all their dads are on it, and all their family are on it. So it's no longer become very private. I think that's a big part, and I think we are going to see some form of a shift. If I don't know if it'll be a backlash as much as a movement, but I do think is incredibly what you're saying about listening is so important, right? Because I think even from a customer service experience, how do you offer great customer service? How do you dissolve the most irate client, the most irate customer? Is you listen, right? My wife and I went for a challenging time not too long ago, and I listened to her. Whether I agreed or not is a different matter, but she always felt heard, right? And I did genuinely listen. It wasn't pretend listening. It wasn't like I am listening, but I was genuinely sat and listened to what she had to say, right? And I think if there's one thing she said through that period is how much she felt heard, right? And how well I listened. And I think, like you say, the key to a lot of the issues is simply truly listening, right? Not defensively, not trying to think of an answer, not what am I going to say next, none of that. It's actually just being present to the process of listening. And I think you could dissolve a lot. I can't say everything, because there's also values and beliefs.
You absolutely can, because it just, I talk about the 4 C's listening, because when you demonstrate listening, it's great for conflict resolution. I've done a lot of training in contact centres, and it's just a superb technique. And also as a PI, I did get shot at, I did get run over, I did get beaten up a bit. But
did you say you got shot at?
Yeah.
Did you just say that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Well, I don't think we can leave that one alone. We'll carry on.
yeah, you do what you do. I worked over 5,000 cases, so they weren't all very nice.
Wow.
There's a whole bunch of stories there, but I'm probably never going to share them. But but it's just what was I saying? Listening skills. Because when you demonstrate listening, and that's the key word for me, demonstrate. Okay, I've got to know, I've got to think if you're listening. Okay, you're sending me a signal that you care about me. Okay, and then also as a kind of conflict resolution, what that then leads to is a calm. It just begins to calm things down. And then when it begins to calm things down, that other person's confidence in you begins to slightly increase. And then we get back to one called control, where we're a little bit hard to control beforehand, but just the process of listening sends you into that lovely place of control where you have like an adult conversation. But can I just pick up on one other thing I have a passion for?
Yes.
If there's anybody out there that runs a shop, runs a retail business, please hire mystery shoppers. Because do you actually know how awful the customer service is that your people are giving? Are you measuring it? Are you actually getting any feedback? Because I am staggered sometimes. And it's the customer experience. I spent many years in customer service training for American Express.
Me too.
So I kind of wrote the book on the whole thing, customer experience. And I just think so many businesses are going down the pan in the retail sector, certainly, because they're not actually checking up on what their staff are doing. I am horrified. I just feel for the owners. Are you really employing that person? Do you know how they're treating their customers? We're gold dust. Customers are gold dust.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. And I think the other thing about, just to pick up on that, is if you're relying on people complaining, you're already losing, because a lot of people won't. Like, I won't necessarily, you have to work very hard to get me to complain. I just won't use you. I just won't go in, right? And the cost of customer service, right? The bad customer service goes to 10 to 20, if now not times 100
Yeah.
with social media posting, and good experience only ever travels to 3. I remember the maths we did when I, like yourself, worked in the corporate world. So the value of a complaint actually represents 10 to 20 people that won't open their mouths. And again, I think you're absolutely right. If I think of the customer services in the last year that I felt have really helped me, whether I got what I want or not, are the ones I felt heard, right? And it wasn't a contemplated email. It felt personal, even if it was a copy and paste. They personalized it. I felt heard. And they related to what I said. And that's the way to stand out. Like we talk about standing out. It's just simply truly listening. In the space I've been, having run the awards, I've had to listen to a variety. Maria asked me this, what's changed about me since running the awards? And I said to her in the podcast I did on her one, Speaking Business, what's it called? Speaking Business? Is that what it's called?
Academy, yeah.
Yeah. I talked about I've had to develop a greater and more widespread level of empathy. Because I'm managing judges, I'm managing my team, I'm managing event organizers, I'm managing venues, I'm managing paying customers, right? People that buy the tickets for the summit and the awards. And I'm often having to listen in the various ways that otherwise I might not have listened, and non-defensively as well. That's the key. When someone approaches us with feedback, I have to listen and then choose. Doesn't mean I always agree with everyone. I think if you, like you say, if you're running retail, and what you're saying, if you want to really stand out, just listen to your customers. Like literally listen. Not just the angry ones, not the ones that just complain. Because as I say, to get me to complain, you have to work very hard.
Yeah.
I just won't use you. I'm just done. Right? So I think you're right. Listening is a skill.
Well, I'm going to bring it full circle back to speakers, because I'm quite staggered. Speakers like to speak. Okay. And this is like be yourself more of with skill. And what the skill that some speakers lack is the ability to stop speaking, ironically. And I know Maria will agree with me. We can ask. I remember asking one speaker one question once, and about 40 minutes later, he stopped speaking. And I just sat back and I thought, you know what? I haven't said a single word. And something. Another thing that bugs me. Okay, and I think I said at the beginning, I've never been about me. I'm really happy. I've always been about everybody else. Okay, it's not important for me. But it never fails to fascinate me how I can be in conversation. I'd meet somebody and they talk about themselves endlessly, but they never once ask you a single question about yourself.
I know.
Now, I don't need to talk about me, but I remember having a couple of weeks in Costa Rica a couple of years ago, and I did a G Adventures trip. My brother works there, so we went with him. And there were a bunch of Canadians, and they didn't ask a single question of me. Nothing. I mean, I talked to them because I'm always interested, but I just said to my husband, they have not asked us a single question about ourselves. Not that we want to talk about ourselves. But it's quite fascinating, isn't it? The lack of interest some people have. So that's a bit of a bugbear.
Yeah, I agree.
For speakers, and again, it comes back to speakers love to talk. And when it comes back to scoping, we're going to come right full circle back here.
Yes.
The kind of questions that I teach people how to ask the questions. But you've got to ask and then listen to the answers and let them know you listen to the answers. Too many speakers go in too early telling the client what they want to talk about. But when you demonstrate listening, when you ask the quality questions, you're sending that powerful signal that you care. And that client, why would they go for any other speaker? They've got a speaker here who's really invested in them. There's so much psychology involved in all of this. There's some speakers I think miss out on because they're too quick to do what I call giving information. They should be seeking information, testing understanding, perhaps summarizing. That's something from that behavioral intelligence talk I talked about, but more of another day.
Love that. I've got to say, the time I can think about something similar to your experience in Canada is there's a while I was looking to launch in LA. So I was meeting lots of people and I just felt exactly what you talked about, even when I was there with Emily. And I realized I was very small at the time. And like you'd spend almost an hour with some people and I'm like, they haven't asked a single question about me. They've just spoken for the full hour. And they're like, right, I've got to go now. I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. And like, yeah, I just find that staggering when people do that. And I'm like you, I'm very inquisitive. I'm very interesting. So I ask loads of questions and I don't ask to be asked. But every now and then you'd think they'd go, yeah, tell me a little bit about you or something, right?
Yeah, something.
Yeah, some indication that you're there, because I could have easily just stood up, walked away and come back 50 minutes later, right? Yes, I think it's quite interesting. So cool. Right, so as we wrap this up, what is your final message for anyone listening about the awards, about speaking, whatever you want to leave us with before I wrap this up? And
I think if you're a speaker out there and you're listening to this, please, he who hesitates is lost. This is the most amazing opportunity to be seen, to be heard, to put in your submission, because even if you don't win, the act of doing it is forcing you to really think about your content, think about your messaging. You might win. You might get a highly commended. That's fantastic on your profile. But I think you should be there. You should be part of this, because this is your family, this is your community, this is your tribe. I hate that word. I'm using it again. What's another word for tribe? And I think that the evening, the summit's great. You learn a lot. You get to network with people. You meet people you've never met before. You've seen all their LinkedIn posts, and it's great just to be in a room full of like-minded, brilliant people. And there's just so much shared, over the dinner, over the coffee, over the ice cream. They're just little ad hoc conversations. God, I never knew that. That's brilliant. And then, of course, we get to hear your speech. And it's your book launch this year, so that's very exciting as well. So that's going to be very exciting.
Well, I bet you've never been shut up by working with speakers. That's for another podcast.
Not to my knowledge, no. Not yet anyway.
Well, I love to. That's another podcast. Thank you so much for being here, Mary, for sharing.
Thank you for asking.
Your insight. It's been brilliant. Your wisdom, everything that you shared, and what you've given the awards over the last 3, coming up to 4 years. So thank you.
It's my honour and my pleasure.
Oh, thank you. So everybody that's been listening, this is it. We're wrapping up another episode of the Judges series. We've had Mary. So Mary, just give a shout where people can connect with you. Where do they go? Over to you.
Okay. Mary Tillson-Wharton with 2 L's. LinkedIn, you'll find me on LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn more than anything else. Maria Franzoni is my business buddy. So if you find her, you find me under her Speaking Business Academy. And that's how you find me. I'm not onto social media. You won't find me on any Instagram. Sorry, I'm just a Luddite or something. Don't know what it is. But LinkedIn is a good way to find me, or through our website, mariafranzoni.me, and the Speaking Business Academy.
Fab. We'll also put those in the show notes.
Speaker Summit.
Come to the Speaker
One. You can't miss me.
Exactly. But she doesn't wear a pink suit anymore.
No.
Yeah, but
again,
we might need to do whole other podcast about all of that. So fantastic. So listen, if you're thinking about it, you've been sitting on the fence, or you've already started it, remember, as this is recorded, it closes on the 30th of April. That's this Thursday. I don't know when you're going to be listening to this. The 30th of April, 2026, thespeakerawards.com. Get in there, enter one category. As it's year 5, you can go up to 3, treble your chances. And as everybody said, not just Mary, just going through the process of applying will get you focused in. And then who knows, you might win. Thank you all for listening, for tuning in. We will see you soon. This episode will be out very soon. Have an amazing time and good luck. Back yourselves, people. Back yourselves. And that's what I want to leave you with. Thank you for tuning in to this week's Front Row podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment. It's through your feedback that we grow. We hope you've taken lots of notes, benefited from the wisdom, and are now going to turn everything into action. Remember to keep an eye out for our next episode of the Front Row podcast. And remember to like, subscribe, and of course, leave us a 5-star review. We look forward to connecting with you and hearing the progress of your journey in the professional speaking world. Tune in next time for the Front Row podcast.